TIA Talks. My name is Jason, your host, and today I've got two great guests with me that if you've been following on SABC3, that's The Insurance Apprentice, then you'll recognize one of them. Her name is Chiara, so welcome Chiara. She's giving us a wave because she's all the way in Cape Town and our studios aren't there. And this is the first time that I've got something in my ear waiting to hear what she's got to say, and hopefully that's going to go all 100%. So welcome Chiara, how are you doing?
Hi, Jason. Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. This sounds like I'm in a news when you're doing a news reporting. So over to you, Chiara. That's so hopefully we don't get too many delays, but it's really good to see you smiling because when you got eliminated, that was one of the saddest moments in TIA history, I'm sure, but we're not going to get to that immediately. I want to introduce my next guest, which is Steve from SAUMA. The sponsors of the task that was done with Chiara, and unfortunately, you were part of the judging panel that unfortunately got her kicked off the show, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. That's correct.
So welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
Steve, I think I'm going to start with Chiara, if that's cool. But Chiara, I want to just get your feeling around getting kicked or eliminated or fired or dismissed from TIA. You can choose the adjective that describes or that, but yeah, let me know how you feeling and how did it go down?
Well, Jason, I like to say that I've been blasted and booted. So if that helps any terminology, that's really how it feels. Look, I must say there's a mixture of feelings at the moment. There's a large degree of disappointment. Of course, you put yourself out there, you try your best, and you don't want to go home at any point other than being in the first number one seat. So anything before that seems a little bit premature and difficult. There's also a sense of relief, It's very difficult when you keep investing yourself every day and hoping for a better outcome. And even though it's not the outcome you want, there's a relief of knowing for what it's worth. And and then there's excitement for the continuing contestants. I'm really hopeful. I obviously have my favorites now. I'm allowed to participate. So that's how I feel at the moment.
You still can't vote, okay? You still can't vote for your favorite.
I know.
That's I think there's going to be nepotism behind the scenes there. But Chiara, that's it's interesting because you were one of my favorites. I've probably told all the contestants this when they've joined me on the show. But as I get to know you and I get to see what's going on throughout the episodes, I really do think that you were probably on your way to becoming the next insurance apprentice. I must say, you really handled yourself really well in that show, and through all the tasks, bar the last one, it was really good. I think everyone thought you were probably one of the strongest competitors that we've ever had on the show, and I'm pretty sure it's because you studied the same thing as me. I'm just kidding. No, you did study economics and econometrics, eh? I wanted to throw that out because people think I don't know anything, but you did it at the university that I did it at, so we kind of on the same page. But in all seriousness, I really did think that you were going to win, or at least get to the top three.
Yeah.
So how does that make you feel, knowing that you had everything that you needed, but just didn't quite get there?
I think initially when I got voted out, it was just massive disappointment. It kind of felt like I let myself down. It felt like I let a lot of people who know me down, a lot of the industry down. But then hearing some of the comments and even your own now today, Jason, it's given me a massive amount of relief. It's also given me, what can I say, a sense of pride. I think the big thing is we all as human beings tend to focus on the negativity or the outcome on its own, but we forget that there's a long journey towards that outcome. And since the day that the episode aired up till today, I've had massive reflections. And where I am at the moment is just feeling very proud of what I did before that moment, very proud of the way that I conducted myself. And that's really what it was all about for me. How can we add value to the task? How can we show what the insurance industry is about? And how can we make it joyous in between that, as opposed to just, it's a competition, let's try win. Of course you want to win. So I'm very pleased with what I've done. I'm very pleased with the manner in which I conducted myself throughout. I think it adds a lot of value to the legacy of TIA. So I think that's where I am.
Yeah, I think you mentioned, bringing the joyous part to TIA and all of that. I think that's it's quite special because a lot of people will say they're going to bring the drama to the show, and I don't think that you brought drama. You actually did bring expertise and maybe a few smiles, behind the scenes. I know that there were many people around the judges, around the judging panel, Steve included, that did think that you were definitely one of the contenders to win TIA. So I think that's how we are similar, because I was kicked around the same time as you, I think. Where did you come? Are you fifth?
Actually, you did a lot better than I did. So I think you came fourth or fifth, and I was seventh.
Okay. You see, that's why. So this is surprising for me, and I actually wanted to touch on this because I honestly thought it was a lot further down the line that you got knocked out. And Steve, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
This is now a serious question. Why Chiara? Why wasn't it somebody else in that task? I mean, I'm sure you also want to know, Chiara. Why was it you on the day? Because I know that TIA is a competition, and it's a competition that runs for a period of time. So you have to kind of keep your level throughout the competition. But does that even matter? And
Jason, I think this year there was a bit of a difference, because this year we had SABC 3. And it was on TV.
Yeah.
And I think everything was just ramped up that much more than the past.
Yeah.
I've had a relook at this particular episode and relooked at the previous episodes. And Chiara, let me tell you, I was one that thought you were very strong, no question about it. And I reckon in terms of the insurance industry, you're going to contribute big time into the future, no question about it. I think we need to remember that this was in the insurance apprentice. The apprentice, you're not expected to know everything. You're not as old as me. I've probably forgotten quite a lot of stuff. But
that's
anyway.
what they all say when they come to my show.
No, I have though. I really have. But when it comes to that particular moment, this is a competition. It's there for the public to watch. And there are moments that come along and say, "Ooh, that's my favorite." "Oh, I don't like that person." In Chiara's case, I think it was just that particular episode that caused her a problem.
And the task itself.
It was not as strong on the insurance technical side. And there were a couple of people that were a little more dominant. It was a choice. A choice had to be made.
You just mentioned a few people that were more dominant in the tasks, in the teams. What are you referring to?
Do I mention individuals?
You don't have to mention them, but maybe you can mention that.
I won't mention individuals. But if I was to look back and say, what am I really looking for? It wasn't high technical insurance skill. That to me wasn't what it was about. It was they are apprentices. They're not expert insurance people. The task at hand was complicated in respect of the SAUMA one. It is a big project. I'll admit that even someone like myself, with all my experience, would have had to think 2 or 3 times over as to what the appropriate answers were. None of the teams got the answers right as far as I was concerned. None of them. But when you're sitting there in a team environment, there has to be recognition of the people you are with. I've played in various leadership roles over years, including running a listed entity as a CEO. What am I looking for? I'm looking for people that will be able to cooperate with others. Leadership is about bringing the others with you and pulling from them their abilities and highlighting them. It's almost, I never remember things properly, but the Chinese guy that he leads from the back, that is my style. I don't want to lead from the back, from the front. I want to support. And to me, that was a key issue. In previous episodes, I saw some of that. In this particular SAUMA episode, and the witness of the particular team that I witnessed, that was lacking. But that wasn't a reflection on Chiara. This was Chiara. It was like someone had to be picked almost. In my view, none of them hit the mark on the project. None, not one. Technically, not expected. The leadership role didn't come through as strongly for Chiara. Maybe it's because of the insurance component of it.
Yeah. Yeah, because when it doesn't fall within your kind of line that you're working with or your specialty, I know that can be quite a daunting task. This task actually...
this is a big task.
It's a big one. And funny enough, as a broker, it would have been quite a good task for me to do. I actually remember it's a very similar task to the way that I got through the first round of my elimination round, and I blew the socks off some of the judges, and I'm going to say that because they said that to me to my face, and I
probably because you're an economist.
Well, and I saw the task come up, and I was like, oh man, I really want to get involved in this. This is amazing. And I realized there would be many others that would overshadow you in this kind of task, Chiara, because it's not in your specialty. Or your line of specialty.
That was the weakness, I think.
Yeah, and I think maybe, I don't know, do you think that's probably what got you?
So I'll be very honest. There's a few things, right? The first is the marking criteria is quite specific that you should be better every day as a contestant. And reflecting upon myself, I was not better that day than I was in the previous days. And it's a question I've gotten from a lot of people, like, why do you not have second chances? And I keep saying, because I set the bar really high on the days before. So the one thing that you'll see is I did not present it badly. I actually presented the solution as if I knew exactly what I was talking about. I answered questions as though I kind of knew. But the background work, which is what the judges get to review, they get to review you. How are you participating in the background? Now, to be honest, even in my real life and how I show up at work, people are not watching you in the background. They're watching your end product. So my competition hat fell off and my real everyday insurance hat came on. And that's probably where I kind of missed the mark quite a bit. So
very good point.
One of the key reflections is if I looked at the end solution, I was like, great guys, we kind of had a lot of similarities to the other team 2. But our presentation lacked in cohesiveness because we didn't practice well enough. We didn't present it well on the actual presentation. And when the judges kind of voted me out, the only reflection I had is, okay, well, I don't get a second chance. But it wasn't that I deserved a second chance that day. It was, I was genuinely worse than I was in previous days. And
Chiara,
remember that.
Yeah, Chiara, I think that is what set you apart. I mean, that sounds very mean, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Set you apart that particular day.
Yeah.
But if you look at the aggregate of Chiara, I was definitely somebody that thought, I promise you, that
she was
going to go all the way. But it was just that particular episode. And all the candidates missed one huge point. And that to me was the SAUMA particular episode.
Yeah.
I don't think a single one mentioned
that
SAUMA is a congregation or fraternity of high experts dealing with particular projects. And in this particular project, there's a professional liability, the single project coverages, the construction business, the construction type of insurance.
Yeah.
No one referred to the fact that you're going to be talking to the UMA and highlighting that particular element as we are the doyens of the industry when it comes to speciality. I'm being very arrogant here. Very, very.
Well, I don't disagree with you.
The UMA is at the top.
Yeah, definitely.
There are very expert brokers out there, but when it comes to the insurance solutions, the UMA is absolutely the top in this particular space, and that didn't come across to
the judges,
trying to achieve to the judges, and then through them
to the
public.
Well, then I'm going to stop you there. I think.
How do you deal with that?
I think we're going to deal with that after our coffee break. Okay,
right.
So I think let's have a sip of coffee. We'll deal with this definitely because I think it is an issue, and I don't think many people understood what a UMA was at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you guys are the backbone to my business as a broker. Yeah. So I think after this coffee, I think we'll get.
Am I allowed to be controversial?
Let's take a break. The insurance industry is changing fast. The way we work, the risks we face, and clients' expectations are evolving every single day. That's where Sapiens comes in. They're building cutting-edge technology that helps insurers stay ahead, streamlining processes, reducing inefficiencies, and making the entire experience smarter. If you're in the industry, this is the tech you need to know about. Learn more at sapiens.com. So welcome back.
Thank you.
Just before we left, before we want to actually enjoy our coffee, before we actually get into this task and the nitty-gritty stuff, Steve, you represent SAUMA.
Yes.
SAUMA.
Yes.
So I know as a broker that you guys do so much for us. I mean, you give us the specialty that sometimes we lack as brokers. For the public that are listening and for the guys that watch the show and saw Chiara get kicked and wonder why, before we even get into the solution, what is SAUMA and what is a UMA? And where do you guys fit into this whole insurance world?
So SAUMA is an industry body. It's a fraternity of underwriting managers. It's existed informally since 1991. More formally since 1994. So it's probably one of the older ones in the market. The controversial part of what I was referencing earlier was even the regulators, I don't think, they don't really understand what a UMA is about.
Yeah.
A UMA is a high-skilled technical, has high-skilled technical capacity. It's agile. It is trusted by the insurer. The insurer is the vehicle, has the license, has the capital. The broker is the intermediary advising the brokers. So I would liken the UMA to probably a little easier to understand is the broker is the attorney advising the customer. And then you have the advocate who's got that speciality. In the context of insurance, the UMA is the advocate.
Yeah, it's almost like the middleman to the middleman, because the middlemen.
Okay, that's
not
those are the dangerous words.
Yeah,
we're not middlemen.
Okay,
we are essentially people that are expert enough that the insurer trusts us with it.
Sure.
And that word trust is key. It goes from the reinsurer through to the insurer, through to the broker, through to the end customer. The regulator doesn't really understand where we fit, and they try to cover us with the same legislation. They've got one set of bit of legislation. They just keep wanting to apply it, thinking that the UMA is a biased animal that says we're going to reject claims because we participate in the profits.
Yeah.
Guess what insurers do?
Yeah, they do.
That's exactly what we do. So we act symbiotically with the insurer.
Okay.
And we support the broker to provide the right solution. So my point about this particular episode and all the candidates in the episode not recognizing that some of the solution was in these specialist classes.
Yeah.
They mentioned them, but didn't reference that this particular group of people, UMAs, were key to the solution.
What do you think your solution should have been?
Okay, this is a really complex particular episode.
Okay, so before we even get into that, then I want to try and see if I get this straight. So the UMA, as far as I understand, and I'm going to play dumb. So as a broker, I actually contract to certain insurers, but they've got certain products that don't fall within the scope of what they do normally. And one of the examples that I can probably give is like professional indemnity.
Yeah.
You being at Leopard.
Yes, we're a bit of a specialist.
Yeah, there we go. So you guys are liability specialists, technically. And what I would do is I would partner with Leopard to actually help a client that needs professional indemnity. But at Leopard, you're underwritten by an insurer. Correct?
That's right. So we're underwriting on behalf of the insurer.
Correct.
They give us authorities.
Yeah.
So that the 5 sponsoring ones from the UMA space that sponsored SAUMA, may I mention them?
Yeah,
so
sure. Of course.
Leopard, you've already mentioned.
Yeah.
ACNE, CIB, BSM, and KEU. Each one of those.
Wait, hold on. Let's guess them. KEU events.
KEU events.
Events, definitely event liability and all of those things that go into it.
ACNE
Engineering. And commercial potentially.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And that's a CIB space.
Yeah.
And ourselves and ACNE actually compete against each other.
Yeah, with liabilities and all sorts of things.
That's right.
Okay, so all of the UMAs that were actually sponsoring the task and were involved in the task all could probably, in my mind, cater for the solution.
Pretty much.
Guys,
somehow or other.
Okay, I need to just jump off Steve quickly. Chiara, come on, that's pretty basic, pretty obvious.
There was no research
I mean, I'm
done.
not in the
No,
hot
oh
seat
no,
anymore, so I
no,
don't know that I
exactly.
have to be put back into it. No, look, it's a competition environment. There's a lot of pressure. And as much as you are even the expert. So, Jason, what you've said just now is quite accurate, right? I was not an expert in this specific type of task because I'm not a broker. I've never worked even remotely close to the brokerage space. And that's kind of one of the elements of not being the leader of that task specifically. But even those who are experts in this really struggled with it because as much as things seem obvious now, in that really compressed time frame with additional curveballs thrown at you in between. I mean, you guys watched the episode, you saw Wilhelm rush in and
Yes, the
say,
budget cuts.
your budget's cut. And, you get thrown so off of it. Plus, you're competing at a high level every single day that even things that may seem obvious to others right now in a condensed time frame, high pressurized situation, even the experts who were the brokers around the room really struggled. They did not hit the nail on the head of the brief. So it's obvious now. It's difficult in a competition environment.
I like how you mention it because you're right, Chiara. I've been wrapped over the knuckles a few times because every time I bring up the task, I pretend I know what the solution would have been. But I can promise you 100% I never knew while watching it. And then the little blurb comes up at the bottom of the screen that kind of says what the task should be and what the solution could have been. And it's like a two-liner and you're thinking, no, there's no way that the guys that we have on the show at the moment would have missed that. So I know for a fact that you guys have the pressure and things are definitely missed, but also the brief is much longer than what people think. You have to do your research. You have to go through all those pages. There's documents and documents of stuff. And in 2 hours, it's almost impossible to do. So kudos anyway. You're out of the hot seat. Okay. But Steve, knowing what we know about UMAs, because I do think that a UMA, firstly, has a place as a role play in the industry, a very, very important place in the industry, which
I would agree,
obviously, and that's why SAUMA exists. But I do think that they get overlooked sometimes. And specifically in my business, I just want to say thank you to all the UMAs out there, because I know as a broker, without you guys, a lot of the products actually that I would love to offer my clients or to cover those little gaps in cover that they might have, because a regular insurer can't actually provide that cover or doesn't offer it. I just want to say thank you because you give me an option.
That's what we're about. I mean, that's why, as I said, a bit arrogantly saying we are the top of the pops when it comes to those specialist solutions. Inside insurers, there are some expert people for sure. There are definitely experts in the broking field, but they have a different role. Our space is developing and thinking through, and we have the ability to be agile and think about what's going on in the market and produce and consider and create a new product as solutions. That's what a UMA is about. That's what it's about.
So speaking of solutions that you would create,
yes.
What was the solution? Let's get into the solution for the task.
Okay, there's going to be a lot of disagreement.
Yeah,
but in my mind, there are two. Bearing in mind the budget cuts that suddenly came along.
Okay.
The first arrangement would be to think about the principal and what he was worried about. I mean, I think that came through quite strongly. It was the principal, the developer, the person actually financing the project. How does he protect himself? There are two core areas. One is the professional liability side, professional and general liability side. That should have been considered in the context of a single project policy, which would be a multi-year policy. So you think about a project like this, and it's not going to be done over 3 months.
No,
it's a stretch. Now, as Chiara mentioned it earlier, it's the pressure. But I was fortunate enough to witness one of the groups having a conversation. They touched on it. Now, I was told I wasn't allowed to say anything, which I didn't, but they touched on it. Someone mentioned it, and it was put to one side because of the particular person in that leadership role at the time.
Sure.
It was pushed aside.
So someone almost had the answer.
They were so close, but they didn't come through with it. So the single project policy covers, particularly from a principal point of view, all the professionals, all the design work. And the key about that particular project, now you're getting into really technical issues, is that it fixes things up in the event there's an error in design, by example, it fixes things up before the project ends. So it contributes to the success of the project overall.
Okay.
And not too many people understand this.
Because often it happens after the project.
Yeah, so you're not having to sue everybody.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the solutions, we're going to rely on the professionals' PI policies. But to do that, you've got to trigger a claim. You have an insurer defending them, and you've got litigation. So that, to me, is one of the, bearing in mind the restricted budget now, that was key. This is the construction phase. You then have the construction all risk covers, which would be therefore the damage that occurs, wind, the water, the fire.
A cat walking on the screed.
The cat walking on
We
the
had
screed.
that as a claim once. I'm not even kidding. The cat walked over the screed overnight, and we had to replace all the screed. So that's covered by your contract works.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah.
It should be.
Should be.
If you had a decent insurer.
Yeah, or broker.
Or broker, yes, of course. Yomays rely on brokers. I love brokers.
We love you too. Thank
So
you,
those to me are the two core. You do have some of, in a project like this, there wasn't too much of an issue in terms of brought in equipment. So there was consideration around the marine. Then the project delay stuff. What happens then if the project is delayed? Now the financier, again, thinking about the financier, he has issues relating to project delay because the contractor will start asking for more money. Things, delayed product coming onto the project. The project, that's pretty key. SASRI, I think someone did mention that. And I think the context here was what happens if there's going to be a sit-in or someone invading the place. That's pretty tricky. I don't know that there's a particular solution for that. SASRI is the one that has to declare there's a riot or a strike.
Yeah.
It's not a riot or a strike. It's a takeover.
Yeah, sure.
Threatening people with various things.
Yeah.
But that, to me, there was a touch on the community. That's about making sure that you bring in, and some people did talk about the community.
Quite heavily as well.
Yeah. That, to me, was a solution. If you're going to do something in a particular space, make sure you bring in the community. They can contribute. They are your protectors because they're not going to allow this to happen.
But that's just one part of it.
It was only one part of it. Ultimately, when you've got the built environment and the buildings are up, it's a question of whether the financier, the developer, owns everything and rents it all out, or is he actually selling it down? Because that now becomes a transfer of ownership for a particular building. That's my building now.
So the risk transfers over to him.
More complicated is, through all of this, is the contract conditions between the developer, the professionals, the contractors, the various suppliers, all sorts of things go wrong there as well. And you can get to even deeper stuff where the guarantees that are required.
I was going to say, we didn't even mention guarantees or anything.
Guarantees and bonds, I don't think that was mentioned once by anyone.
Okay, firstly, you guys put together this massive task.
How much? It was a huge task.
Wow.
And it was actually a pared down task.
Yeah.
Because I actually had some input there.
Yeah. Sure.
And I was worried about how big it was to begin with.
Yeah.
Never mind what was actually delivered to the contestants.
So 2 hours, Chiara, to do all of this?
No, impossible.
Yeah. So
impossible.
Set up to fail.
So Chiara, you would have been lost in all of this.
Yeah. I'm just listening back to it. And again, I've reflected so much since and kind of gone through the task over and over. What they don't show you in the episode is I go onto AI and I type it in and I kind of get the responses. But without that expert opinion in the room, even having that information in front of you is not that useful, right? So even as I sit here today, it's a massive education. Thank you, Steve.
Well, we haven't got much time. I can do another couple of lessons for several hours if you want.
Yeah, so join TIA Talks lessons 6, 7, and 8, where we'll discuss just this task. No, I'm just kidding. There's no such thing as that lesson. This is enough for me, honestly. Otherwise, we'd need 2 coffee breaks per episode. So
we need a lot more time.
Yeah, I think, Steve, the task for me was a great task. Well put together, well thought through, and also highlighted a lot of what is needed in the industry or rather just highlighted who we use in the industry and the importance of them.
Well, I'm hoping another message came through to the public listening to this. There needs to be a recognition that insurance is not just something you pay away and hope like nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
It's a contributor to that economic wealth, and it supports that development. Yeah. Without insurance, how the hell does that development happen?
Exactly.
How does it create jobs? And I'm hoping that the public understand that there is a complexity behind insurance, but it is a contributor to the economic activity in this country, without which we have a big problem.
Yeah.
And it, to the benefit of the public watching.
Yeah.
I think
Chiara,
one of the things that I mentioned in a radio interview that I did is insurance is not, it's risk mitigation, yes, but that accumulation of assets, wealth, and a generational increase in who we are is also a foundational cornerstone to insurance. And I don't think that message is brought about as much. So I absolutely love what Steve's saying, because we always look at insurance as something to just cover something negative. But if you look at it from a positive standpoint, it can help you grow from where you are, even if nothing's wrong. Right. And I think that that's really, really an important message to keep stressing when we talk about insurance on any level.
Yeah. So, Chiara, we're talking about the short-term industry. Never mind. What about the long-term industry? Everybody looks at these companies and say, oh, they're rich companies. They own all these buildings. Why do they own the buildings? Because it underpins their asset base that allows money to flow to people into the future.
Yeah. If my insurer didn't have a big building, I'd be worried.
Yeah, well, you must be very worried.
Because how are they going to pay my claims, to be honest? Chiara, I wanted to chat to you just briefly around your experience with the contestants. The rest of the contestants that were in your teams and stuff, did you have any besties in the show? And are you going to miss some of them? Are you working with some of them after the show? What's happening?
I just want to say quite emphatically that I think all of the contestants were really great, in very different ways. They brought things to the table that's really to be admired. There's a lot of the contestants that did things that I was even quite surprised by and quite admired. They showed up quite fearlessly. They were ready for the TV and the cameras, and I kind of just froze, So I just want to say that in itself is phenomenal. There's a lot of the contestants as well that probably I wouldn't see again for a while, not for any other reason than life's quite busy and naturally our paths are not going to cross. And then there are some that are really standout individuals who I'd probably be really intentional to try keep in contact with. They bring a lot of pizzazz and energy to the industry. They're obviously highly passionate about what they do, and they're incredibly skilled. So, and that said, we do know that I rubbed some of the contestants up the wrong way. You heard my head must roll and they were a little bit uncomfortable with me. I think that's just part and parcel of the journey. Absolutely. So those ones, I'll give them time to cool down, and hopefully they'll see me for who I am in time, and then we can grab a coffee.
Chiara, I actually wanted to chat to you about your busyness, because you're currently in Cape Town. And you're going to be, or you should probably be, in a Manco meeting at the moment, but you've chosen to join me on TIA Talks. What is your role now, and where have you progressed since being on the show? Because I know that you were in the short-term space, and you may have moved over to Sanlam, if I know correctly. Yeah, give me some update on your life and your career.
Absolutely. So I am incredibly blessed and fortunate that my hard work gets seen in the right places at the right time, because everyone who's successful will tell you that luck has a lot to do with it. So when I joined the show, when I entered, I actually was in the short-term insurance side in OMART, the cell captive of Old Mutual Limited. Within the time of filming, I moved to Old Mutual Limited in the CSI space for a very short stint, and I am currently now head of shared services for Sanlam Corporate, which in effect is a shared service component of the operations team that looks after corporate business for Sanlam.
Wow. Okay, so
That sounds like an enormous thing to do.
yeah, that just sounds like a headache, to be honest, Chiara. I don't want your job at all.
Don't ask me about my career.
Yeah, I wanted to get into yours, Steve, but we're running out of time. But because you mentioned you were a CEO of a listed company, and now you're part of SAUMA, but you're actually at Leopard. So what's the situation? Where are you? What do you do? How do you do it?
How much time? You got no time to do all of this. No, I've masqueraded as various things in the past. But presently I'm involved in a business that has investments into different things, one of which is Leopard. I am the chairman of Leopard, and my particular background is PI liability, directors and officers liability, medical malpractice.
Sure.
So that's the stuff I like. But a lot of other far more clever people are doing things now. And I pretend to do things.
Yeah.
My CEO, if he listens to this, the CEO of Leopard, I just have to make sure he thinks I'm doing something.
Yeah.
So he pays me something every single month. My career is not burgeoning and going in an upward direction like Chiara.
Right.
Mine is flattened, but I'm not a good golfer.
No.
I don't have many interests outside. My wife is very clear. Married for better or for worse, but not for lunch. So retirement is not on the cards right now.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, well, I think, Steve, without going into too much detail on your career and
That'd
everything,
be very boring.
Yeah, so I won't go into it, but I wanted to maybe ask you one more question, and maybe for those that are listening, or just the public that got to see UMAs in action actually on the Insurance Apprentice, what would you say would be your number one thing that you would like to change in this industry, or that you feel that is that we as an industry should take more seriously?
One thing?
Or multiple things, whatever is close to your heart.
You know, Jason, this is a huge question because it's changing. It's dynamic. It's AI is coming.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about AI because I think this time around there's actual destruction of jobs. It's coming. Whereas past technology created new jobs. So for me, it's still the rudimentary elements for insurance that people need to understand what risk is about. They need to think about things. With the machine, and Chiara mentioned it, go on to ChatGPT or whichever.
You still needed the professional.
So when I think about an underwriting manager and the message internally, it's yes, we've got AI helping us, and as I don't know which platform you use, ChatGPT, whatever, it doesn't matter. But we need to be able to understand that thing. So when it comes to underwriting something, it's about using your nose and your thinking about, does this thing make sense? So that's the thing I would like in terms of a message. Don't believe all the stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes to underwriting, or broking, or insurance companies, this machine is not going to give you all the answers.
Yeah.
In 50 years' time, what does a human being look like? Does it need a brain? Or is it going to just have parts, replacement parts all the time? Are we just become machines?
Yeah.
And this thing is going to think for us. No, we need to think. And in the context of underwriting, it's the art of underwriting that becomes the preeminent thing, particularly in underwriting managers. It's not this machine, which is a processing plant, and will give lots of answers, but you have to filter that out. And that to me is a key skill. Education these days is just, honestly, rubbish. Why are you just trying to memorize things?
Yeah.
We
need to critically think about
You've got to critically think about things.
Yeah.
All the answers must be on the wall. And you extract it and learn and pull experience out of it. Maybe it's a job protection. I'm still needed for a while.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. So don't get rid of him. Don't use AI, that type of stuff. We're going to stick to it.
No, use AI, but understand the result.
Yes, understand the results, and also just know what to put into it. If you're not really understanding what you're doing, you can't really ask AI to do it for you. You have to really understand. Yeah, exactly. I loved what you said about the art of underwriting. I think that is something that I've picked up speaking to kind of the the more senior and more experienced people in the industry is that is actually lacking. The art of underwriting is actually falling away a little bit, and it's becoming just a black box where we get our rates from a system. And I really I want to actually mention the underwriters, because I remember joining the industry and working with underwriters that are, like actual human beings, and having a discussion around a risk. And they told me if I could go on risk or couldn't go on risk, or have I asked this question or that question. And for me, it's just, it just leveled me up as a broker. Having a good underwriter behind me and next to me to support me.
This project, this particular episode in the project, you can't ask AI to give you a solution.
Not at all.
It'll come out with all sorts of nice things, but then you can filter that out. There is a place for automation.
Yeah.
No question about it. And the smaller risk, the homogeneous risk, where it doesn't hit particular flags, my business is doing exactly that. It is auto rating, automatic.
Yes.
It produces the invoice, it produces a policy, it files it away. All those things happen.
But who looks at it before that is a human being.
It's the input before that.
Yeah.
So what are we actually looking for? I don't want all these risks, but I do want these risks.
Yeah.
And we're modeling it. So there's something behind it. We're putting it in. It is going to be different going forward. But that art of underwriting, the understanding as a broker to appreciate what the customer is saying.
Yeah.
You can't be an expert in the customer's business. That's true. But you need to be close, and you need to understand and listen to what they're saying. You're not listening to a box telling you what I need, what my business is about, and what kind of covers.
You need a real person for a real risk, in my opinion.
But the AI is going to supplement what we're doing.
Yeah. And I hope they do
That's
that.
the key word.
Because I don't want to lose the art of underwriting.
Or art of broking.
Yeah.
Or art of anything. Engineering. I mean, you can stick things into a machine.
Yeah.
And it produces something that's, forgets that has to have a slab somewhere.
Yeah.
That's got to be particular strength.
Yeah.
And it looks wobbly. Something's wrong with this, but the experienced underwriter will
be able to see it. Yeah.
The old farts in the industry. Am I allowed to say that word?
You can, but that's your last thing that you're allowed to say.
Okay. The old farts in the industry have one big problem. They think there's a lack of skills. No, there's lots and lots of skills. The fault of me and my colleagues with this grey hair is that we have not transferred it enough.
Sure.
That's huge.
Amazing. I think that is a very common issue that we've seen, and that you've highlighted it because so many of your peers are saying the same thing. And I'd love to see that skills transfer move.
But it's rubbish, though.
Yeah.
It's their fault.
Well, I think
no lack of skills. It's a management fault.
As an industry, I think we need to actually really look at it seriously. And I think hopefully one of our episodes, we've mentioned this actually a few times, and I'm hoping someone out there is listening because the skills transfer is a problem. Chiara, you get the last word. I won't even say goodbye because you are there. So Chiara Ghirdari, I hope I said that right. Over to you in Cape Town. Would you like to sign up for us?
Yes, thank you, Jason, so much. I think my last kind of word is do everything with joy. There's a lot of happiness to be found in this industry. To Steve's point, there's a lot of critical skills. So as young individuals, go and try and learn those critical skills. Go meet with the guys with the gray hair who don't like golf and let them train you, let them teach you, and be teachable, be coachable, collaborate with them. I promise you, you're going to find a lot of value in it, a lot of joy. So thank you guys so much for having me on Tia Talks. I've loved it. I am top 7 forever, 2025. Thank you guys so much.
And sometimes I'm sure you're more than top 7 for a lot of us watching. So thank you, Chiara, for everything. You're a great contestant and a great guest. And Steve, thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next week.